So I've got 6 altcoins that I feel will do well in the future with a solid use case and, most importantly, potential to grow. Maybe a 50x might be in this little bundle. So I've decided to do a little series for you guys, starting from 50 million market cap up to 100 and then eventually progressing up to $1 billion. Little showcase of some altcoins that are out there that I feel are undervalued.
Oh, go on then.
I'm Ash and welcome to the channel. If you're new around here, hit that like button, it majorly helps. Also, if you like my content and you want to see more, hit the bell button as soon as you hit that subscribe button. I'm also looking to change my channel. Monday videos are currently market sentiment and cryptocurrency news. I'm going to stop doing that and I'm going to do altcoin fundamentals and technical analysis. I think it's a better showcase. However, on the Thursday video, I will still be doing psychological stuff such as taking profits, when to buy, certain experience-based stuff, which I know a lot of you do like. However, if you'd like to see the news, I do a live stream on my Patreon. I will cover it there. I usually do anyway, so I don't really want to repeat the content publicly, which kind of makes sense essentially. I also do it on a Monday morning on Learning Crypto. So we're going to go through 6 altcoins. How have I found these? Well, a lot of them have been in my community. A lot of people have been asking about them. A lot of people have been talking about them. Even on my Twitter feed, I have seen them and I know of them. So I'm just going to showcase them in this video. Disclaimer time. None of these are paid advertisements. Also, I own one of them as well. All of these is all dependent on what the team do, how they achieve their success. And you know that I hate paid opportunities in terms of assets. I think it's the most pointless thing ever. I know what we'll do. We'll email this influencer. We'll give them some USDT to promote the product to an audience that don't really care much about it. He doesn't really care about it. So it makes no sense. Now, even though I'm not a holder of majority of these tokens, which I'm not, makes sense for me to showcase them. And I want to give back some good solid fundamentals to the market, which could actually be good in the future. I like good solid projects with good teams, technology, partnerships. Yes, it's a punt. Yes, it's cryptocurrency. Yes, it's speculative. But realistically, right, it's down to the team. But you must do your own research. So make sure you understand that. This is not financial advice. So let's get into the screen and let's go through them. Now, these are just basic overviews, nothing mental. If you want more, I'm going to start doing project deep dives in my Patreon in the next coming weeks, where you guys, as a community member, will be able to vote. So let's get into it.
No, God, please, no, no!
So here we are. We are going to do what other YouTubers do that I don't really like, but ultimately, I'm going to pick some good ones. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we do well. That's the plan. Hopefully. Anyways, moving on. So, market's a little bit sketchy. Bitcoin's had a monster run over the last few days, but there's still, in my opinion, yes, my opinion, some altcoins are low in value. Even if the market tanks, even if you feel sat there on the fence or behind a keyboard thinking that the worst is yet to come, there's still some opportunities, right? So let's talk about the first one, which is called Orai. Now, I've heard about this one for a while. Wavejumper on Twitter, check him out. He has been talking a lot about this one. And there's been a lot of news about it going on to the Tron virtual machine very soon as well. And in terms of the details of it, it's kind of a layer 1 blockchain utilizing AI, data economy, and Oracle services. It's pretty interesting when you think about the AI narrative, the data narrative. Certainly when we look at the current climate of data, certainly when you think about TikTok and all these random places that are scrambling for your data, and then obviously Oracle services, right? Now, 12 million market cap currently. However, just bear that in mind, the circulating supply. So the dilution is much higher. However, do your own research in terms of when that's going to come out. In terms of the website, pretty neat, pretty tidy, does exactly what it says on the tin. It's got its own blockchain. It's got its own wallet. It's got a bridge. And it's got its own validators as well. So realistically, it's ready to go. And look at the top letter, AI, right? So that is a huge narrative at the minute. And for me, when you look at that, it's got everything that you need to have. Rollups. It's Ethereum compatible, decentralized data and AI. Oracles, right? Yeah, it's only a small market cap, just saying. I am not an investor in this, just want to make that perfectly clear. I do know that Wavejumper has been investing in this for a while. He has been talking about it quite a lot. So this is why it's kind of an obvious one to talk about in terms of what's kind of out there. And when you look at all those kind of information that I've just kind of mentioned there, it's got a lot of ticks in the boxes, right? So that is hugely important when we talk about it. Now, in terms of the white paper, I would urge you to read it. Please do. This, again, as I say, not a big deep dive. Certainly makes no sense doing a massive video just doing deep dives on altcoins. But yeah, check it out. I like a lot of it. Next one is a one that was, right, I'm going to whinge. This was in my Learning Crypto platform premium. I'm not going to mention how much this went up by, but it went up by an awful lot from the point of that post. AI narrative again, but there's a reason for it. AI developed with corporation IBM. Probably heard of IBM, relatively well known. Offers a portfolio blockchain-based AI assistance and on-chain intelligent contracts for businesses and consumers to provide automated services and transactions easier, faster, and affordable. This is an interesting token. Now, I'm a bit annoyed that I missed this. I think it went up by over 30x from the point of the post. It has been featured in quite a lot of places. It has a genuine use case that makes sense for what it aims to achieve for obvious reasons, right? In terms of use cases, but even though a lot of people go, I just need a token. Well, if you're doing contracts and a validation of a contract via the blockchain, it kind of makes sense to have a token. So relatively straightforward in that sense. But you can see here, a lot of the use cases are all listed here. Token utility, by the way, it tells you payback programs and all kinds of stuff like that. So there's a lot of things there. It makes sense. So I like the look of it. It actually has a physical product as well there, which is pretty cool. So yeah, this is a one that's mental, but market cap, right? Market cap, very low, 21 million, full dilution, and there's only 50% out. So even full dilution is below 50 million. It's got decent volume as well. So as I said before, it went rocket boom, right? So even though it's been out for a while, it's melted, but actually people were talking about this on my Learning Crypto platform when it was really low. It's like, wow. So it has been out for a while. Pretty interesting project. I do like the look of it. Moving on to the next one is Octopus. Now, I own this one, just saying. It's an Ethereum virtual machine kind of contract thing with Substrate on the Near protocol ecosystem. So it's a mixture of everything. I like the look of it. And one of these comments just basically says it all in one, right? So Octopus, Ethereum, virtual machine, Substrate, IBC of the Cosmos Hub with Near. That is pretty cool, right? That is like a massive cocktail of your favorite things all into one, really, in my eyes anyways. That's how I look at it. So this is why I invest in it. Really kind of just went, you know what? Let's go. I haven't put much percentage into it, but because of the low market cap, I thought, oh, it's worth a punt. When we see all these assets do really well with ecosystems and leveraging Substrate, leveraging the Near protocol, leveraging the Ethereum virtual machine, it can do a lot of things. It's quite good. So that makes sense. So I do like the look of it. Obviously, the Explore page, all the app chains, you can see what's happening. So this is kind of the infrastructure, obviously security, interoperability, infrastructure and community, the Ethereum virtual machine, and the Substrate element. Substrate, if you're wondering, is a basically skeleton blockchain created by Polkadot, which anyone can use and plug it into anything. So it works very, very well. But you can see how it all works. All this kind of like, yeah, boring stuff in my eyes, but for some people, they like it. So there's a lot of things happening with this one. I do like the look of it. And yeah, low market cap, probably very high risk, but if it pays off, it works because it is also backed by the Near Foundation. So there's probably quite a bit of money underneath it. Moving on to the next one is Litnary. Lit, right? So this one is on the Polkadot ecosystem. So bear in mind the emissions. The volume is relatively high on this one as well. You can see that. And it's a bit of a mixed bag, really. Decentralized identity authentication. Now, why is this important? Well, we're all moaning a little bit about KYC and data being stolen and banking and all that kind of stuff. And what this gives is an identity network that can be pretty useful for whenever some things go a bit pear-shaped, right? So when we talk about this, making your digital identity tangible without being seen, the Identity Hub allows you to aggregate your personal data from blockchains to platforms to manage granular access to dApps. Interesting, right? So everyone's talking about passwords, usernames lately, banks. Is your money safe? Is your data safe? And this is pretty damn important in terms of what could happen in the future. If it is done correctly on a blockchain, it could be very, very useful if done correctly. And obviously that divide of actually doing it is a massive, massive thing, right? So as you know, all this kind of stuff, very, very important. And you can see here how it's kind of useful. Personally, bit mental, but it's one of those things where you got to keep an eye on for the future in terms of data. And we've always said about blockchains, right? Blockchains are huge for this, keeping stuff secure, right? Keeping it mostly insecure. And when we start looking at all these ID hubs and stuff like this, monster. But they are building a huge product here that could really pave the way for the new version of Web 3.0 in terms of how we access data, how we keep our data, and how we are all linked to that data, which is our own. Huge, right? So I like the look of it. It is a Polkadot ecosystem asset. It is I think it's a substrate and a parachain. So yeah, as I said before, relatively decent value, 42 million, decent volume as well. Yes, the supply is a bit of an issue. You may want to look into that. So make sure you look at the emissions, but yeah, relatively straightforward. Another one to look at is linear finance. Now, this one's an interesting one. Again, on the Polkadot ecosystem, this one has been mentioned quite a few times in my Patreon, right? Decent kind of outlook. Again, emissions, be careful with it if it's been a crowd loan recently. And it's a world of DeFi. But when we look at this is a little bit different, right? Because it's more to do with the liquid side of it, right? Currently, banks have got problems with liquidity, right? Now, we've seen this before with the likes of Lido in terms of Ethereum, the liquid Ethereum that you can get. But this one is a similar sort of element, but on a different network. So you can see here the first cross-chain compatible Delta One asset protocol. Trade liquid assets quickly, cost-effective, and on a obviously cross-chain element. So when we look at this, you can get newer versions of your coin, LUSD, for example, in terms of linear token, and you can move it around much quicker and more efficiently because it is liquid. So what we're already seeing now, we're seeing it on Lido, for example, where you can stake on there and you get the liquid version of it, right? Now, this is kind of a new area of doing it. It's a much easier way of doing things as well. But you can see what they've got. They've already got the swap functionality. They've got the vault as well to generate yield. And yeah, it's backed by some pretty biggish people who will be obviously, random stuff, to be fair. Don't like to go down the venture capital route these days. But yeah, this is an interesting one. Again, as I said before, it is a Polkadot ecosystem thing. So it's all part of that ecosystem, which is relatively good, in my opinion. I quite like the look of it. But yeah, it's something to keep an eye on in terms of where DeFi does go. DeFi has been smashed, right? With obviously potential regulations and stuff like that. And this is another way of doing it, but in a more liquid form that probably is more regulation safety, essentially, because of the way it works. It is a little bit different and more safe. Last one, Affinity token. Now I know they're all kind of technically Polkadot assets, but reality is this one has been around for quite a while because it's a part of the Engine ecosystem. Now, this is a bit of a wild card, I'm not going to lie, because it's NFTs and stuff like that. Now, if you don't know what this is a blockchain for NFTs. It's an interesting point. NFTs could get pretty big in the future. Now, I know Meta have went, not interested anymore, that can go away, bit of a fad. But the reality is, if NFTs come back roaring on the Ethereum chain, it'll just crumble again. This is a new chain, which is a little bit different and could work very nicely on this chain because it can mint more, it can do it at much less prices, and it just will work. Now, this is a part of the Engine protocol, so it's got a decent user base behind it, backers, etc. Now, this is the element. Obviously, NFTs are a relatively different thing versus what their wallet was all about, but when you look at the Affinity token, the fees, monstrous on Ethereum, right? Huge, ridiculous. Want to get it low. And I know there's been some decent words been saying in terms of how many they'll do. So I think a lot of them were saying, if we go to the Ethereum, the parachain here, you know, the way it'll work is it'll do a lot more. Here we go. We'll process up to 700 to 1,000 transactions per second, which when you compare it to obviously the old Ethereum chain at 15, that is huge. You can be able to do multiple NFTs just run like that. Very, very quick, very, very efficient, and probably a lot less in value as well. The token as well, as you can see, all the huge information regarding the token in terms of the utility, the governance, the stake inside of it, and infusion. There's a lot of things happening here. So if the world of NFTs take off again, there's a platform here where you can mint them, you can store them, you can use them, trade them, store them, whatever, right? Makes sense. Tokenomics as well, a little bit wild. Why do I say this? Is because of obviously the crowd loan side of it, but that would equal opportunity, right? You can see the distribution here. You know, this is kind of how it works. A lot of it's for the ecosystem as well. And yeah, you can see how the whole situation happened, right? Cool, it's all right. But I do like the look of it. But there we go. Today's video done.